Christ is risen.
Truly he is risen.
And Christ is in our midst.
He is in our
People living during the time of Jesus and during the time in which the Apostle John wrote his gospel, they would see the story of the Samaritan woman and look at it like, what is going on here? Because everything seems to be kind of out of whack in terms of how they would have seen this story in those days. First of all, no Jew in their right mind would have ever gone through the land of Samaria. If they were journeying anywhere, they would have gone around Samaria to avoid the half-breeds and the unclean, who were the inhabitants of Samaria. Second of all, how strange is it for a woman to come out at the 6th hour, which is the hottest time of the day, alone, to draw water? It's unheard of, because to draw water in those days was a communal event. Women from around the village would come together to fetch water, and during that opportunity to gossip, to talk about what's going on with their families and their friends and what's going on with their lives. It became kind of a communal festal event to go to the well to draw water. And here we have this woman by herself at the heat of the day drawing water. Well, we can well imagine something is going wrong here. The Samaritan woman is basically experiencing a major snub of the villagers because she is a public sinner. She has a reputation in the neighborhood. She's had 5 husbands. And she is, in a sense, a pariah in the neighborhood. Another thing that seems to be strange in this gospel is that no man would have talked to a woman in public during that time. So here we have Jesus plunging himself literally into the land of Samaria and encountering a woman who has the worst of reputations. It shows us, though, that Jesus has no boundaries that we may set, that he crosses all boundaries that we may set, and in Jesus there are no boundaries, because all is within his love. And so Jesus came for the marginalized, the forgotten, the lost, the despised. He came for all those people who were considered losers in those days, and he does that today as well. Another thing that happens during this story is very interesting, that divine mercy is relentless, that Jesus goes out to seek the lost, to seek the suffering, to seek the lonely, to seek those who are going through literally hell in their life. And he is there for them. His mercy is relentless. It's not like we have to beg him to come into our life. He loves us so much that he tries every which way but loose to enter into our lives, to transform our lives, to be with us in our pain, but also to transform us. So we're going to see a transformation taking place here. Because divine mercy is also one that causes a relationship with God. Divine mercy opens mercy, Jesus' mercy, that overflows into our life. Christ wants to share his divine life with us. That is why our Orthodox spirituality is so wrapped around divinization, theosis, union with God. That is a major teaching in our church because that is what Jesus lives, and he's living it today with us. So he's calling us into communion. He's calling us into oneness with him. And these are not just pious words. This is the real deal. This is what he wants with us. He loves us so much that he wants to not only enter into our life, but to share his life and his strength and his everything with us. There's an interesting symbol going on in this gospel. It's a symbol of the well. It's very interesting. The well symbolizes, as we can see in this story, in a sense, the passions. The Samaritan woman draws water from this well because she has nothing else to draw. Her life is what it is. And so she's tried everything in her life to satisfy her life. And it's come up empty. Oh, she may have some satisfaction. She may have some fleeting happiness, but it doesn't last. It goes away. And so the well represents the woman who keeps going to the well, drawing the water, and then getting thirsty again and say, well, so what? The thrill is gone, or whatever. What more in life? What's left? And Jesus is inviting the woman to see something that she is not seeing. And that is, Christ is offering her life. She says, Christ says to her, I will give you water that you'll never thirst again. And it's going to keep bubbling up in your life. You're going to have this life within you. And it's going to reinforce itself all the time. You don't have to go back, because you're going to be in relationship with me, and I'm going to give you all that you need. Because my divine life is not only life-giving, but it's also transformative. But divine mercy is also demanding. So, Christ loves this woman so much that he mentions now, what about your husband? Well, you had 5 husbands. Okay. And you're living with one that you're not married. Okay. Look at this. Jesus is inviting her to look at her life. And that's what Christ does for us. He invites us to look at our own lives. In a very honest way, of course, but in a way that is not despairing or hopeless, but in a way in which it becomes an opportunity in which I view my weakness, my powerlessness over my life at times, and I may at times be feeling like I'm driving off a cliff, and I can look at my life and say, Lord, help me. I'm going the wrong way. Something's out of whack here. I can't get this together. But the Lord hears us with great sympathy and compassion. But he's also saying, and Jesus doesn't mince any words. He's not like Mr. Nice Guy here in the sense of, oh, whatever you want to do, is fine with me. No. Christ is very demanding, and he says, this is bad for you. It's getting in the way of your relationship with me. And I'm life. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. I am everything. I am everything. And I will give you everything. But if you keep dwelling or indulging in this passion or whatever it is that's getting in the way of our relationship, in which you're making this thing your God instead of the true God, who is life-giving, well, you're going to be going in the wrong direction. And so what does the Samaritan woman do during this conversation? She puts down her jug of water that she draws. And that's symbolic, because she's going to the town now and is about to announce something that she just experienced. And she puts her water jug down. And that's symbolic of, you know what? I'm going to leave all this stuff behind that's been hurting me, and maybe hurting others or whatever, that's been a negative influence in my life. I'm going to put that down, and I'm going to follow Christ because he knows me. And so she goes into the town and says, I met a man who knows everything I ever did. Amazing. And the people are listening to her telling, who is this? Is this the same woman who's been living with us for all these years? And now she's changed. What's going on with this woman? And somehow or other, they're kind of maybe shocked by her change of behavior. And they're starting to listen to her like, what happened to you? What's going on with you? And she explains it. Divine mercy also calls us to mission. And that's exactly what the Samaritan woman did. She responded to the call to be an evangelist. In a sense, she is the first evangelist, is the Samaritan woman. Because she's the one who sent out the good news. It's been said, they always try to figure out definitions of evangelization, about spreading the word. And, there's texts and volumes and books about evangelization. How do we spread the word? And I think one of the best definitions I ever heard is evangelization is basically one beggar telling another beggar where to find the bread, where to get the bread. It's so simple because the woman who experienced Christ received the bread. She received the water of life. She received everything, and she couldn't help but witness to it. She was so full of this divine mercy that she couldn't just keep it to herself, but she had to spread it and share it with those who I believe are eager to hear it because they're looking for some life too and some purpose in their life and something that they not only can cling to, but also to, in a very real sense, experience the fullness of life with. And so today we have this great evangelist, the Samaritan woman, an unlikely story with an unlikely end, but a story that is true and a story that teaches us that, one, divine mercy is relentless. Divine mercy calls us to relationship with it, with a person, the Trinity of love. Divine mercy is demanding, but it also gives us newness of life, which gives us peace ultimately. And divine mercy calls us to mission. And so this gospel invites us to, in a very real sense, imitate the Samaritan woman in listening to what divine mercy is calling us to, and in this invitation to experience the life that supersedes everything, that removes all boundaries and makes us one. And in the Lord Jesus, as he says to the woman, I give you, in a very real sense, this water. And may we receive this water with great joy. Blessing of the Lord be upon you through his grace and love for mankind always, now and ever, and on to the ages of ages.